Welcome to Best Ball Nation. That was brought to you by Davis Pang. And today I have with me, Megs from co-creator of Fanspeak and DFS betting with RPS as well. How are you doing today?
That's right. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. I work for Fanspeak. It's a family business that have a ton of best ball content there, both YouTube and online. And then I work for Run Pure Sports, and we do live shows every Monday and Wednesday. And we see you in the chat every Monday and Wednesday. Have good combo, and so love to chat with you there. But I'm so excited to chat with you here.
So I have a small little secret that I've just been kind of holding, and then I was like, I knew I was having you on. I'm in all those drafs. I've been in every single. Yeah, I'm Piqué Pecan who took Laporta from you. I knew you wanted Laporta. I'm like, I knew it's not going to come back to me. So I'm like, well, I might as well take Laporta.
Yeah, I'm taking him. Yeah, absolutely.
And so that sent you to get Musgrave later, which sent Rubio down a whole rabbit hole. I was like, I created a whole.
You created a tight end, just trickle down effect. Wow. Okay. That is so fun that you're in, and we had no idea. That's so great. I love it. Well, you knew. I was like, someone has been watching me personally and knows that I'm taking Laporta.
Yeah. Did you want to do Underdog or DraftKings?
Oh, we can do DraftKings. Yeah. I mean, I definitely have done a lot more.
I've been doing Underdog. I've been doing Underdog with everybody because it's easier to track. But if you wanted to do DraftKings,
I'll do either way. Your choice. Your dealer's choice.
I have DraftKings or Underdog already.
Okay, let me pull Underdog up then.
Okay. What up, Derek? How you doing?
A minute. Okay. Best Ball Mania. I got it pulled up. You just let me know when to pull the trigger.
Oh, okay. That works too.
Okay.
If we don't get in, then we'll figure it out.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. It looks like we have space.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I was watching. I'm like, man, this guy's been like, nobody had said anything the last few weeks about me being in that name popping up or anything. And then Ruby was like, I swear I've seen that guy's name in there a few times. So I was like, well, I'm having her on later today.
That is so funny. Well, they'll love that in the Discord. Then that's Felix this whole time. That's hilarious. I forgot, who was your stack today? Who did you stack up today?
I ended up falling with I got AJ Brown, and so then Garrett Wilson came back to me, so I just ended up getting the Jets. Okay. I had a little bit of the Jets. I had I think the Lions as well.
Wow.
A little bit. I think I had just 2 pieces. I think
I'm a diehard Washington fan, as you can see behind me, but I might be rooting for the Lions just as much this year. I have so much shares of the Lions in best ball that I'm just so bullish on their offense. And then I think they have 11 out of the 17 dome games or something like that. Maybe some combo of in warm weather conditions and dome games. It's just set up for not just the playoffs, but all season. And then especially in the playoffs, all dome games. So I'm just very, very bullish on the Lions.
Is it and they get Kansas City week 1. So it's
right.
It doesn't get any better than that.
I know. I remember some people being like, I wonder why they start with the Lions, and I was like, they want offense. The NFL wants offense.
They want a show to start off with, which I don't think they're gonna get right off the bat, but I think it'll be okay. I just think it's gonna be a drubbing by the Chiefs, unfortunately.
It could be, but hopefully we just get that offense that we as fantasy folks just love and are desperate for.
I agree. I have a lot of on so far.
Yeah.
Who's your highest owned player right
now? Let's see. Well, definitely. At different positions, obviously it's different, but probably because it's always funny about exposures, and I was actually going to do an article on that soon. But you know how most of your highest exposure guys are obviously guys later. So
for some people, yes.
Well, I was going to say the guy who won $1 million with Cup and Chase. That's true. I'm talking to the person that I need to take some tips from you.
Well, it's just so crazy. Like I understand your theory and it totally makes sense. And I'm like, but the other side works as well. Yeah. I think you shouldn't like try to middle it. Like you should try to like diversify and have a good portfolio.
Right.
But I don't think the part works. Like where you go like 10%. On everybody, you know?
Right. No, and that's why I also have an article planned soon. I wrote it on fanspeak.com, and I'm going to be writing another one on Run Pure soon about fades in best ball, because like fades in best ball for people who play DFS, it's not the same. Like if you fade the wrong guy, you're done, you know. And it's not like that in best ball. As long as your team's good, you can make really strong stands and fades. So yeah, I'm with you. Like diversify portfolio, but there's going to be guys I'm totally out on, and then there's going to be guys that I'm very, very overweight on.
So the way I'm trying to win the regular season prize. It's fun. Everybody's trying to win the $3 million. In my head, I'm like, well, I want to. No one's going after the 500,000, which
nobody talks about that. Yeah,
no one. And I'm like, well, why does anybody like target it? I'm like, well, why should I have to worry about anybody else doing it when I should be doing it? So I've been going into the strength of schedule, but I love my guys, Najee Harris and Christian Watson for. I just think they're both going to be league winners this year. So I've been grabbing a bunch of them.
So you said Najee Harris and Christian Watson. Okay, so I'm in with you on Najee.
Yeah.
Not as much Christian Watson. Maybe you can sell me. I guess I'm nervous the downgrade from Rodgers to not. And I have plenty of Jordan Love shares and Packers shares, but I typically just get them later. And so I think it's just his price is right around the guys that I like better. I think that's more the issue for me. But maybe you can sell me on Christian.
Well, okay, I like some of those other players, but I think that they have the number one strength of like wide receiver schedule. Like they have the best.
Yeah, they have a very good schedule.
And it's like you look at their schedule, and it's like not a single cornerback on any of those teams, like even worthy of like worrying about. So it's like, well, he could, even if they have a slow start, like Jordan Love trying to get on. I'm gonna go Diggs here. Even if it takes them like a game or two to get going, it's like they play the Bears a couple times. They play the Vikings, the Lions. It's like they're not going against the hardest team. So it's How does he fail? And it's like everybody's worried about like the amount of work that he's gonna get, or like the target share. I'm guessing. I really don't know how. I don't know how he fails, to be honest. And that's the part where.
Yeah, it's more that I think like the other guys so much around him, and it's mostly a product of that. To answer your original question, I'm highest. The guys I'm highest are some guys lower down, like Gainwell at running back, Michael Gallup at receiver, Laporta at tight end, Pickett and Howe at quarterback. Those are guys that just I can get any time. But my highest exposure, like paying up for, is probably Herbert at quarterback.
Yes.
Nick Chubb and Najee. I'm with you on Najee at running back. Receiver, I'd have to look. Some combination. I just, I love obviously the early ones, but you can only get so much of them. I am going to get another share of Nick Chubb here and go double hero running back here.
Yeah, you don't even have to worry about running back for the next 10 picks.
No. I have to worry about a little bit later. No more round 5 by week 5 bye weeks.
Yeah,
I did the double week 5 bye week, which I have done this before, and it's okay.
Well, there's why I have that issue occasionally, and I go with I go with AJ Dillon and Damian Harris is who I usually go with, like the double running back, because they have a week 6 and week 13.
Right. Yeah, and to your point, when you go double hero like this early, then you just don't have to worry about running back for like another 10 rounds, or so. So that part's nice. Yes, there are going to be some values like Najee sometimes falls, like some other guys that fall, and
he's not going to fall. You don't have to worry about it.
Well, that's right. I'm going to draft with you. He's not falling. Yeah.
How's it going, Dennis? How you doing? He moved it. Okay, just want to keep it on. I haven't seen them in a while. Derek was one of my original people who was following me.
And, that's awesome.
He hasn't been here in a hot minute. They got drafted 4 week 9 wide receivers on one team.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've done his show. I've done his show before. Yeah. You just need to fix it and draft no more week 9.
Yeah. It's tough.
39, 40.
See, I'm big on the Chargers offense as well.
I am too. Like,
the pace of play. I know you're also big on the Cowboys.
I am.
I can't get there. I think it's just their pace of play is going to slow down a lot. And,
you mean just under McCarthy?
McCarthy / was it Schottenheimer?
Right. Yeah, I'm trying. I think that is what's depressing their prices, and I'm kind of trying to not let that deter me at all, because I just think this offense, is one that they've been a top 10 offense, with Dak, and yes, they lost their offensive coordinator, but even last year, Dak was a top 10 quarterback in points per game. Obviously, he played much less games last year due to his injury, but so yeah, I really like this offense. I looked at all these offensive statistical metrics, and they just were, in top 10 and top 5 in most of them last year. And I kind of like them again for those reasons. And, I don't feel like there's any drop off. In fact, adding Brandon, losing Zeke, now that he has Pollard full opportunity.
I do like Pollard, man.
Love Pollard. And then adding Brandon Cooks. I really love that too.
Yeah. See, I'm worried about Brandon Cooks. Like, I'm not. He's still good, but he's not what he was. He's also very injury prone in general.
Right.
I don't know, because he's not a big guy. He's like
right. I'm gonna take Ridley here.
Though they do have an amazing matchup in Week 17, so I can't blame anybody for taking those.
Yeah. So high on Dallas overall, so high in Detroit overall, very high on the Chargers overall, like we just said. So.
Let's see here. Anybody doing anything funky? Nothing too crazy, which is always nice to come from DraftKings to over here where it's not like so wild.
I was going to say, in doing more, last year I was mostly on underdog. This year I'm trying to do both and some drafters too, that it's wild when you do it in the same day and you just the ADP differences, and it feels more the Wild West over on DraftKings with ADP. And does it feel like quarterbacks get more reaches for quarterbacks on DraftKings?
Yes, absolutely. Like there's a lot more like first round quarterbacks, which is always kind of wild to me, and it doesn't really make sense because they're not getting it stacked with anybody, which is like huge over on DraftKings. Like you need to stack with your quarterback over there. And they're like going Mahomes when Kelsey's already gone at like pick 4. And it's like, what are you going to do with that? Because Kadarius Toney's going to have a game or two, but you're really hurting your value.
Right. Yeah, no, it's really, it's just interesting, the differences. And then, I had to just get used to it. And again, I want to get a lot of drafts down on both sites. And so, it is just wild to be like, wow, if you want to go get your stack, you need to go get your guy.
Have to grab your people. Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it is a little bit different on the way I play it. Maybe I should be more like lenient and more ADP driven, but like I really do believe in Najee and Christian Watson being the season winners. That's like I don't have to worry about that because nobody likes Najee, which is so weird.
That's so true.
But on DraftKings, he never goes past the third round. Like it never falls to me in the fourth round. So like I have to get him in the third round. It's such like it's hard to like comprehend DraftKings and underdogs ADP and their like value for each player.
Right.
Joe Burrow and Josh Allen with Kelsey Pollard. Interesting. Red badge too.
Well, let me pull up the board. I just made a pick. Okay.
At the 9 hole.
Okay, gotcha.
He went Kelsey Pollard, which is nice.
Oh, and then back to back.
But back to back.
Hero, yeah.
That's interesting.
I was gonna say I feel like I've seen that a little more on DraftKings too, with like the bully quarterback.
Which I was on elite quarterback last year, but it was going at a different price.
Right. Okay.
It was like last year I was able to get I was probably like 40% Josh Allen last year.
Okay. Wow.
But I had him in the late third, like early fourth.
Gotcha. Okay.
And this year it's like you have to get him in the second or else you're not getting him on DraftKings.
Right.
So which is why I like Herbert so much as well, because he goes in the fifth, which I think with Kellen Moore, the pace of play is going to go
Right.
up. The deep targets are going to go up. I think there's going to be more touchdowns, and he can flirt with like 5,000 yards passing this year.
Agreed. I think a lot of people forget that Rashawn Slater was out last year.
Mm-hmm.
Then both his receivers, both Keenan and Mike Williams dealt with injuries, and I know that can happen. But I mean,
and their third down receiver, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he was the
Josh Palmer or
the other Jalen Guyton.
Oh, the Guyton, yeah,
he went down as well. It's like he didn't have anybody to throw to.
Yeah, no,
and then he tore his rib cartilage or something.
Right,
and I was
right, and that was early that he was really dealing with that playing through that injury. So, yeah, I mean, they have not had good injury luck, and you do need to run pure through for injuries for sure, and hopefully they get some better injury luck, especially on offense and I think that'll just be wheels up for this offense, with Kellen Moore, and if they can stay healthy. So I'm going to go get my guy and draft him now.
That's a nice value. Well, in my opinion, or maybe it's because I've played too much on DraftKings, but middle of 5 on DraftKings, you never get them there.
Right. Someone in chat said they have a lot of cooks. I have a lot of cooks too. I have a lot of the Dallas receivers because you can't always get, the first round receivers, you can only get so much of them depending on your pick spot. But I have a good bit of Cooks and Gallup and Lamb when I can get them.
Yeah. So I like to go hero RB in most of my builds because I feel like there's a big drop off at receiver at like Rashad Bateman area.
That's exactly that. Cortland Sutton is kind of like my cutoff. That's when I get a little uncomfortable after Cortland Sutton. But yeah, those Ravens receivers or Sutton is where I start to get uncomfortable. And so I've talked about that on both FanSpeak shows and Runs Pure shows, is like you can do any build you want. And I like on Underdog, especially the touchdown hunting, I like the hero RB or double hero RB where you get them early, or at least within 1 or 2 in the top 4 rounds for sure. But you can do any build you want, elite quarterback, elite tight end, anything you want, any combo you want. I think as long as you make sure you get, I've heard other people talk about it's like 4 receivers by the 8th round or 5 receivers.
Yeah, I've heard that a few times as well.
Yeah, so I kind of keep that 4 by 8, 5 by 10. That's kind of what I live by on Underdog and DraftKings, no matter what build structure I'm doing. So I'm trying to see if that pans out because I went through a lot of my bad lineups last year, and I was laughing. I'm actually going to be having an article up on FanSpeak about all my mistakes that I made last year and trying to just honestly learn from them. And, one huge one was just bad lineup construction overall. It was my first year really all in on best ball last year. And, just some of them having like my third receiver is, very flyer rookies, like stuff I heard in training camp, like Sky Moore was my third receiver in multiple drafts. And you're like, well, you're getting a 0. That's
the beginning of my drafts at last year's big board, I was drafting OBJ as my number 1 receiver. So don't worry about it. Even people like me were making huge mistakes. So it happens.
Yeah, I was doing that too. Yeah, absolutely. So were you heavily in best ball in 2020 and then one in 21, or how was your best ball kind of history?
Okay, so best ball for me, I started I won, what was last year? I won in 2022, technically. So 2021 is when I was playing it.
So the 2021 season.
So I started 2020, the 2020 season to 2021, and I did terrible. I did like with the DraftKings like $3, and I did like one like $20, whatever was the price point. And then I won 50,000 right before best ball opened up the year of 2021.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, I know I'm better than half of these people. That's the mindset I go in with. Like, so like at worst sick, I'm probably going to make my money back, which I barely was making my money back when I got to the finals. And then luckily I took it down.
Wow, that's amazing. So what did you win on before the best ball season started?
Playoff basketball.
That's awesome.
Yes,
that's great. So that gave you a healthy bankroll for.
Yeah.
And then so obviously, did you max enter that year?
Yeah. Then so that's why I was like, I went all in on best ball.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, and then I love that you made such massive stands on Cup and Chase. When was your winning lineup drafted? We were talking about that on the show today.
Unfortunately, you can't tell on DraftKings.
And
Spike Week wasn't around, as in they didn't have the tools. Because I had the tools last year. If you were on Spike Week, you'd be able to see it, but there's no way to tell. And I was drafting every day, so I can't say, well, it was probably around this time. Based on some of the players, I could kind of guess, but even then, I don't even really remember.
Okay, so you definitely you don't know what month it was. Okay, because that I'm curious about that because I've heard a lot of people talk about some people barbell it where they do a lot early and then a lot.
Okay,
later.
So Liam won the BBM2. Was that? It must have been BBM2.
Yeah.
June 19th.
Yeah.
Pacarain won the middle of July.
Yeah.
The overall winner, and then the regular season winner was also in the middle of July. So
that's what I said today. I said I thought Liam and Pat dropped was it the 19th? I thought it was 18th, on the exact same day. I could be wrong. And then I thought the regular season winner last year was middle of July. So I was like, that might be something to it because I think a lot of Sharps do take off the month of July and barbell it, and that's interesting.
And not only that, they also run these other tournaments during it, and I'm curious if that lightens the crowd.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no, I think that can do that too. And then I think for me, I know that I could just tell by my lineups on Underdog and my playoff advanced lineups, and then I know for sure my BBM finals lineup was a July lineup.
Congratulations, by the way. That I was half a point from getting in.
Half point. Oh wow.
Yeah, but that's awesome that you got.
It was the coolest sweat. It was what got me hooked, and it may be why I am kind of pushed the 3 quarterbacks thing because I never would have even made the playoffs if I wouldn't have had 3 quarterbacks.
I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't drafted a team without 3 quarterbacks in a long time because of what you were talking about.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think on DraftKings, especially with 20 picks, it makes a lot of sense. But I do think there's something to it, just how competitive these lottos are that you have to finish, first out of 10, 12, 15, 16 people. And I think to have multiple stacks.
The team that I won it with was Goff, Zach Wilson, and Tom Brady.
Okay.
Which all 3 quarterbacks were used in the playoffs.
Okay.
And I wasn't really thinking about it, but it kind of makes more and more sense. What if one of them went down or had a bad game? You at least have 2 options.
Right.
To score those.
So I'm sorry, you had Goff, Tom Brady, and who was
Zach Wilson.
Okay.
And that week, that both of them, the other 2 quarterbacks did bad. Zach Wilson had a 60-yard rushing touchdown.
Oh my gosh! So he counted for you that week?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my point. It's people will say, "Well, how could Zach Wilson outscore these other guys?" And you're like, "It's the NFL. Crazy stuff happens." If you would have told me last year there was Daniel Jones and Tom Brady were going to 100% be the high scorers, I would have laughed. But that's what happened. So I just like having the multiple stack options too, because so often, especially this time of year, maybe I'll handle it a little differently when we're so close to season and news is so clear. Mm-hmm. But this close to the season, some of the, your last receivers and running backs, who knows what's going to happen to those situations and stuff. You could be getting graded ADP value, or you could be getting a dead roster spot. So, with that, I'd rather take the kind of 3 stack option, and that's why I like that. But that's interesting to hear that your winning team had 3 quarterbacks too.
And pretty much 1 tight end.
Oh, okay. Who was your tight end?
Rob Gronkowski was my 1 tight end because Robert Tonyan got hurt in the middle of the season that year. He was out the whole year, which made him super low owned when I advanced, because he had I think he scored 0 points in week 16.
Oh wow! Okay.
So, which my team that had went and won it all was my worst team that advanced to the playoffs.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It just got super lucky.
It just ran through the playoffs well. That's awesome.
I wouldn't even say it ran through the playoffs well. It was always my lowest scoring playoff team.
Really? But it just was able to keep it.
Which made it super low owned. Nobody had, I think it was 3% owned Tom Brady and 5% Rob Gronkowski. So it was super low owned because I think Mark Andrews was really going off that playoff.
Yeah, and that's what's so interesting about ownership is, I think a lot of people assume ownership's like DFS, and it's so not. It's like it's simply like if they're good and if they have a great season and outperform their ADP, they're going to be high owned in the playoffs. If they have a great playoffs, they're going to be high owned in the finals.
And Cooper Kupp was still super owned high because he didn't have a bad game that year, like a single one. So like he was like 20% owned in the finals.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, he definitely didn't have a bad game that year. Yeah. I wonder if your draft was, because there was all that news about Chase. Did you get Chase later then? Was it during all the news about, the training camp reports that he can't catch and all that stuff?
It's kind of how I am with Najee. I'm like, I don't really have to, like, I don't worry about the news and whatnot. Yeah. I know that somebody else may like him as much as I do. So I just take him just on the off chance that somebody else likes him.
Right. I think that's smart. And again, that was some of the mistakes I was making last year, is overreacting to news in August. And that's when I was looking at like the lineups I could tell were built in August. It was just clear overreaction to news. And I want to be so much better about that. That's why I was almost like, I know I'll have more information in August, and that helps too. It helps us all. But, I think I was also overreacting to news, and geez, a lot of my August lineups I really did not like. So, I was like, geez, should I draft more in July, even more in July this year?
Well, that's how I was kind of thinking. That's why I did that 24-hour stream. I was like, well, first it's like, it's a kickoff to like, best ball summer. And it's like, my wife and kids are out of town. They went on like a big trip. So this is like probably like one of the best times. Like Liam's out of the, out in Las Vegas. Rob's out, like all these people I know that are normal drafters. They're not here right now. They're at the WSOP. I'm like, well, why not take it?
Okay. So I know Liam was at the WSOP. So there were some other streamers that were in the WSOP. Okay. That's interesting.
Oh, was I? Am I on the clock? I don't know. No, I'm one pick away.
Sometimes I forget. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just like chit-chatting.
Yeah. Yeah. When you have fun talking basketball, you forget that you're on the clock.
Set this up. There we go. Yeah, this team out of the 9-hole is something else. Paying the rake, I guess you could say.
Oh, okay. I haven't looked.
He went Kelsey, Pollard, and then he got the 2 quarterbacks, Allen and Burrow. Madison, Traylon Burks, Rachaad White, Kamara, Chig, and Jamal. I think he's not going to be able to be competitive at the wide receiver position.
No, this is.
I don't know, but crazier things have happened.
This is true. Okay, so I need some.
What
different
else?
Running backs here.
So I grabbed your Brian Robinson. Are you higher on Brian Robinson or are you higher on Antonio Gibson?
I mean, in a perfect world, I would probably draft more Brian Robinson on Underdog and more Gibson on DraftKings just because of the scoring system. But they go in and around the same spot, so it kind of is whatever build structure I need. And if one of those Washington guys is there for me at a good, around their ADP, I take them because I think either, can be either or both can be effective. And then obviously if one were to go down, they have tons of contingent value then. Because it's really just the 2 of them. So I like both. I'd kind of let it come to me. Ideally, I definitely probably have a lot more Brian Robinson though, as of now, but still love Gibson.
I feel the same exact way about Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. If I get them, I want Antonio Gibson on TK.
Yep.
and like I'm splitting my shares that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think ideally that's the play, but like sometimes,
whatever comes up, you got to kind of roll with the punches. Yeah, and that's another thing that people don't do is that they don't I wouldn't say tilt, but they don't adjust to what the lobby's giving you. And I feel like I don't know, maybe I'm going too hard on this person, Pat Rob or not Pat Rob, Pabro. It's like you kind of need to draft some wide receivers. It's a pretty wide receiver heavy room.
Is that the 9-hole?
Yeah, I just feel bad for him because it's like he's just torching money at this point.
Yeah. I mean, it could be like a first year draft. Sometimes, I mean, sure. I definitely, again, my last year being really invested. Boy, you make a lot of mistakes. And I'm happy with the ones that I did get to advance, and then the BBM. I remember feeling really good about my BBM finals team. But I was actually looking back at some of the ones that did obviously advance too. And this is another reason, the 3 quarterback thing. I had a couple with Trey Lance.
Oh my God. I had that tanked me last year. I was big on Trey Lance. I think that was also high on Josh Allen, but like my other quarterback that was high on was Zach Wilson.
Okay.
I don't think I could have ran worse last year.
Right.
Like at all, because I was also really big on Najee last year, which was great for the playoffs. Like all my teams that I got advanced to the playoffs all did really well. Like even when I didn't like advance, it was like the second of like 16 or 12 on DraftKings. It was like I didn't win, but like they all really scored well.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what's so wild about like you said, the advancement and what they're owned in playoffs or finals. The ownership stuff is just wild because you can't predict it now. We have no way of knowing what who's going to be high owned, who's going to be low owned come playoff time or finals time. So it's really interesting.
I guess I'm going with the Houston stack a little bit.
Was Jamar Chase, I assume, owned going into that finals as well as Cup?
Actually, he wasn't, because the week before that, T. Higgins had gone off.
Okay, so
which my highest scoring team the week before was like 250 or 210 or something. It was like something ridiculous. But the person like I had everything that week, but apparently somebody had something even better. It was like 256. That's what it was. He had 256. I had 210, which is crazy on DraftKings. Like those are super high scores. And then that's like that team got eliminated, but my team that scored like 140 points like got through, and it didn't make sense.
Yeah,
because I overstacked the Buccaneers on that team. I had Tom Brady, I had Gronk, I had Leonard Fournette, Chris Godwin on that team.
Oh, so wow!
I overstacked it, but it's like I kept hearing about how they had such an easy schedule going into it. I'm like, well, why wouldn't I try to take advantage of that? So I did draft a couple Bucks overstacks, which worked out, but like.
So you had a total of how many Bucks? Because that is always my fascination of how many to have.
Just 4.
That sweet spot? Yeah, that's my favorite. Is like 2 to 4 as far as stacking up team. Because I'll see some people draft like 6 or 7. And I'm like, I don't know if I see that.
No, that's kind of. The reason I went that way, I'm like, well, you have the running back, so if it's like on the ground that they're winning, like that'll be optimal that week. If it's passing, there's 2 options that he can throw to. Maybe they're weaker against tight ends, and I was like, well, I can like hit it at like a different spots. And I knew Tom Brady was like a decent quarterback. He wasn't like fully gone. Yeah, I got lucky to have Najee Harris on my team that year. I didn't draft him that much, but he definitely went off in that game.
Oh, okay. In the finals game of your winning team.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be my other question to you. Just I love learning from smarter people than me. But do you try to set up a lot of those? I see a lot of other streams that'll really try to set up a lot of those high capital stacks like Eagles or Bengals or Dolphins. You can get the 2 or receivers early, but you can get 2 later. Like I can see how it can ping pong you through the season and. But like, I feel like through the playoffs, that high capital has to go off each week. Do you like doing that or not as much?
I would say I like it occasionally, but I don't want to. I don't want 100% like Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase.
Right.
I like getting Chase and occasionally Higgins, but I definitely want to chase with Burrow in the 4th round. I don't like to invest all my capital like early. That year that I was talking about, like Godwin went in the 5th round. Lenny went in like the 7th or 8th. I think Brady and Gronk went in like the 9th and 10th, like in that area. So like it wasn't like a hard stack to get. It's kind of like the Chargers this year.
I was going to say, and that's why I like stacks that you don't have a ton of capital to invest in all at the top.
Which is like why I like the Chargers a lot, and I like the Packers a lot because you can get that full team stack fairly easily. Well, for me, it's like I'm getting Christian Watson in the 4th.
Yep.
If AJ Dillon's there, I can grab him, and then I'm gonna get Love and Musgrave really easily.
Oh yeah. And what's your take on Jaden Reed?
I don't really have one. I know that he could potentially take over the slot, but I don't. I'm taking like a little bit of both of Dubs and Reed.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm hedging my bets there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think one of them should be effective as the number 2. I kind of like Jaden Reed in that potentially in that slot role, but let's see what I'm doing here.
I remember him torching my Michigan Wolverine. I'm a big Michigan fan.
And, okay.
And he definitely torched us a few times, but nothing too crazy. So that's why I'm like, I don't really know. I mean, how well he's going to do in the NFL. So I don't want to. I do like a lot of rookies, but I don't like to take like obscure rookies, I guess. But he had good draft capital, which everybody tells me about. So I'm like, I guess that means.
Right. Yeah, I don't know a ton about his college profile, but just from, I watch a lot of the Underdog Network, Hayden Winks, Josh Norris. I like their programs that just do like a lot of film breakdown on the players. And they did kind of a rookies one. And just some other, just watching other kind of shows and, tape on him essentially and how he could fit into the offense. I kind of like it. So I did reach on Laporta as the Sam Laporta fan club continues.
Shoot. Somebody took my guy. Interesting.
Oh, who were you going for?
Love? I don't know where you went. I'm a little flustered.
Where did he go? Jordan Love won 13, the third hole, King of Kings.
King of Kings?
Yeah, the third spot.
Why?
I was going to say, it doesn't look like...
I don't know why he went that way. Okay, whatever.
You might be backstacking it with like
I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't know I was not going to be able to get him there. Because it was a little bit past ADP. I should have grabbed him in the last round, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, what has he been going now? He has been going higher.
144, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, I like the Pickett pit. I like Pickett.
Yeah, so do I.
And you got it with Najee. And I don't know if you like the correlation with the running back, but I do a lot as well.
I think he suffered, 2 concussions last year.
Yeah.
By like rolling out and trying to run. I think he might bring that in a couple and toss it down, knowing that's Najee's an asset.
Right. Yeah, I like the Pittsburgh offense this year. Najee, but Pickett, Pickens, Deontay, Freiermuth. I'm really in on them in general. Kind of like the Packers as a kind of a value stack somewhat. Or a little undervalued in my opinion. They made such upgrades to their offensive line that kind of bullish on them.
Same here, but it might be because I love Najee too much. That might be an oversight where I just like a player too much, because he the last play. I don't know if you know the whole story, but the last play of the regular season, Najee ran for that touchdown, which set me over to win the actual.
Oh, okay. So he was literally your hero then.
Yeah. Like I was counting like my second place winnings because it was like 30 seconds left in the game, and they didn't have to. They could have just kneeled it, but then there was like a big opening, and he just took off.
Wow. So what place would you have been in if he didn't?
Second. Yeah, it would have been second.
You would have been second. Okay. Yeah. Wow, that is amazing. I did not know that.
Yeah. So the very last little of the game changed everything.
Wow. That's amazing.
Which actually, I met Big T at the Tournament of Champions that year.
Oh, you did?
But he will probably not remember because it was like at the end of the day, and I was wearing a Bengals jersey, a Chase jersey.
Oh, okay.
He was like, because the Chase, the Bengals had just won the AFC title game. Okay. So he was like super. I don't know if he had been drinking or not. So I don't know if. Because there was a lot of it was free alcohol there when the DraftKings Tournament of Champions. They was whatever you want, they just give it to you.
That's so awesome that you were at the DraftKings Tournament of Champions. Okay, so did you talk to Big T there then?
I didn't talk to really. I was too gun shy. I was like, well, they probably they're kind of swarmed by people kind of the entire time. Like him, Whistles Go Woo was there.
Right.
Yeah, it's like I wasn't like gonna go bother him, and then we just happened to be trying to get on like the elevators. He had a different one to a different part of the hotel, but he was like, "Go Bengals" or whatever he said. I'm like, yeah.
You're like, yeah, your guy just helped me win $1 million.
Yeah. So that was really cool to meet him, and that's when I started really following RPS. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, Big T's great.
Yeah.
Trying to decide what to do here. I need a different. My bye week, I'm having some issues of both running back and receiver, so I'm trying to spread that out a little bit now.
Oh yeah, I should see what my bye week for my running backs. I didn't look at that last time. 6. Oh, perfect. Alrighty.
I have 2 5s and I have a lot of week 5 buys, so that makes me a bit nervous. But I have 2 5s and 3 9s at my receiver too. So trying to spread that out just a little bit.
I don't have any San Francisco. I'm going to reach because I don't feel comfortable that it's going to make it back to me anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get CJ Stroud for my Nico Collins and Dameon Pierce.
I think that's smart. I mean, and that's not like a massive reach in this area,
Let's see here. That dude really flipped my whole draft up, man.
Yeah, because you're lining up all the Packer stack.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say we kind of talked about the correlation and ADP. Did you kind of just take it draft by draft? I mean, or do you kind of tend to rely on lean into correlation more?
Like I think that you run into like decent correlate, like week 17 correlation fairly easily because like the ADP is set up that way. But for my teams, I like to correlate like certain buys with certain players because I honestly I didn't know what the bye weeks for the Houston guys, but I just kept running into good value for them.
Right.
One more running back should be good there.
I was going to say, what type of builds do you typically like on Underdog as far as each position?
I've only done 25, I think. This might be my 25th BBM4.
Okay.
And so far, it's been the 3-5-7-3.
Yep, that's my favorite. Yeah.
I think this one's going to be a 3-5-9. What would that be? 3 ones. Sorry, 10, 15, 16. Do that. I don't know. I guess I might have to. I don't know what I'm going to go here because I don't really have anything paired up with Kenny Pickett other than Najee, which is fine, but I personally like to have 2 pieces.
Right. Yeah. No, I hear you. I don't mind when it's just a running back. But of course, ideally I like to try to get a receiver too. But yeah, 3-5-7-3 is my favorite build as well. But depending on where I need more capital, I'm willing to kind of pivot around that. Mm-hmm. Trying to decide actually right now what I'm going to end up on. What I need more of.
Let's see here. Oh, I could go that route. Alrighty. If it gets taken, it gets taken. I'm not gonna cry about it. Alrighty. There we go. How's your team looking so far? Let's see here. Ezekiel Elliott. Okay.
Yeah, that is the he fell a little, and I've been on him thus far as I feel like he's going to land, and I don't know. Something tells me I feel like he might land back in Dallas, like just
I think that's the most popular bet is on him.
It's the bet I'm currently kind of making. And believe me, I love Tony Pollard, but just kind of if he is even less role of what he was last year, and you're getting him at this,
at this point,
second, third to last round, then, I'm fine with that. I feel like he's got to land somewhere, and I feel like his role would be like more that goal line back, so I like him better on Underdog. But
I could see him not playing. I could see him wanting a job and not getting a job. Yeah.
Really? So what's your stance on then Kareem Hunt and Fournette? Have you taken any of the 3?
I take Fournette because he offers like a really good passing catching ability, and good pass blocking. And Zeke can do okay, but he's really they're just like a goal line kind of guy. So I think
I need to get some more.
I think if he gets signed, it could be late in the season where somebody needs a running back kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I honestly I can see him signing with a potential contending team that loses our running back and going that route rather than starting off on a team. I don't think that's going to go that route. You got your Hal.
Got Sam Howell. Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, I don't know if anybody's in here that would snipe me, but I have some potential backstack options. But yeah.
I saw you drafted Cole Turner the other day. Are you higher on Cole Turner versus Logan Thomas?
To be quite honest, I just queued both of them up. I'll just be totally honest. And as the backstack options, I think this definitely Cole Turner is definitely is the riskier of the two options. But I could see, with Bieniemy, obviously neither are going to be anywhere remotely near the Travis Kelce level or even in that stratosphere. But I could just see him utilizing the tight end position well. And Cole Turner is just an athletic guy. It has a definitely more athletic profile than John Bates. So to me, the receiving tight ends would be Logan Thomas and Cole Turner. So I've kind of taken a little bit of both, not overweight on either of them too much. I just like having a little bit of them both. And if I want to backstack Hal, I don't mind that, because I also think especially in like a BBM type situation, this is like, those are the few guys that, you're not going to get many guys that aren't very owned. And I think a Cole Turner could be one of them. And so that's why I think it's kind of interesting as your last pick,
Yeah.
So I see a world. I think it's risky, but I definitely see a world where Cole Turner could, emerge as, just, get you that couple spike week.
Yeah, which you don't need
2 touchdowns,
Right. And you have Kincaid and Laporta, so maybe,
right.
Turner is kind of the guy you need for the first couple weeks. Like maybe the Redskins just, have a nice little start with Cole Turner, and then maybe like it takes Laporta and Kincaid a couple weeks to get on the field and starting, and that's all you really needed out of your last round pick, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I feel and so I took him. So just because Logan Thomas was taken, we were talking about it, again, he I don't try to take. That's another lesson I learned from my bad lineups. I don't try to take too many flyers that like have a lot of risk, essentially, I'd like 5th receivers and, very, very deep handcuffs, but I think tight ends, are on the field,
I agree. I agree with that. Yeah. The year I won it, I had 90% Colin Johnson.
Wow.
I don't think nobody drafted. He was like off the board for most of it that year. Right. And then I feel like I actually put his ADP on the board with how much I was drafting him and at the price I was paying for him.
That's so funny. Okay.
He was like, and then like I kind of started to buy into him last year, but he ended up tearing his ACL like week 2 of the preseason. So
the year you won, how did he have some? He didn't have.
No, he got cut by the Jags and was brought in by the Giants, and then
the Giants.
And
the Giants didn't play?
No, he did. Well, like if he did, it was like for like 4 snaps.
Okay.
He wasn't used, unfortunately. Oh, I think that's it.
Yeah, that was fun. I didn't get a chance to focus on your draft.
We were chit-chatting too much, and then we were kind of on opposite sides, so.
Yeah.
I don't know any of these people in the chat or any.
Like the King of Kings and Donglemons look familiar names to me, but I don't know. I'm trying to think if they've been in other.
Let's see. Is anybody owning up to them being in here? Let's check real quick. Nope, nobody's in here. That's fine with me. Alrighty, so let's go with your team. Let's see. You got Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, Calvin Ridley, Mike Williams, Justin Herbert, Tyler Lockett, Brandon Cooks, Cortland Sutton, Jamison Williams, Damian Harris, Jared Goff, Dalton Kincaid, Sam Laporta, Kenneth Gainwell, Isaiah Hodgins, Ezekiel Elliott, Sam Howell, and Cole Turner. I really love your Chargers stack. Like, I don't think it gets much better than that.
Yeah, those 3 are my favorite. To be able to have running back, receiver with Herbert, I love.
And you had so many good receivers that you could get Jamison, and it makes sense.
Right, right. Because I don't want him to be my 3rd receiver.
That's right.
But if he's my 5th or 6th, then I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, it's awesome. And you have the Denver bring back, which is nice. And then
And then the Cowboys bring back to the.
And then potentially the Cowboys bring back with Ezekiel Elliott. Did you get a Cowboy earlier that I just
yes, Brandon Cooks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. And then you had Chubb, but you didn't get any Jets this time, which I know you guys are high on Mecole Hardman. I wasn't drafting him until you guys were talking about him. Like, I guess he could have like some spike weeks with like he could play technically the MVS role or something.
I don't know. And I probably have more Corey Davis.
Okay.
I know the guys that really like Mecole too, and I went a little Hardman too, just because he could have those like 2-3 touchdown games. So I definitely need some of him, but I like Corey Davis as the deep threat for the Jets potentially because, Lazard's more that chain mover. Yes, Garrett Wilson is going to be the alpha, but I mean, I think Corey Davis could have some spike weeks with Rodgers, and you got to be careful listening to quotes. So there'll be the Hard Knocks team, so we can follow that.
Oh, I know. I feel like that should be something interesting because I feel like Garrett Wilson and him are like getting really close. Or no, Sauce Gardner and Aaron Rodgers about. I think they're going to be something about. There's going to be an ayahuasca episode. I have a feeling.
Yeah, no, that'll be an interesting one to watch. That quarterback. What I know they promote that quarterbacks.
The quarterbacks with Mariota
and Kirk Cousins. That looked
really
interesting
good.
too. Yeah, it looked really cool too. Oh, that's done by the
Netflix
Productions.
Yeah,
Netflix.
That came out today, didn't it?
Did it come out today? Okay.
I think it came out today. I think it said the 12th, but I could be wrong.
Okay,
so I ended up with Stephon Diggs, ASB, Najee Harris, Christian Watson, Chris Godwin, JSN, Damian Pierce, Rashad Bateman, Brian Robinson, Romeo Doubs, Nico Collins, Kendre Miller, Kenny Pickett, and Juwan Johnson, CJ Stroud, Jerome Ford, Darnell Washington, and Baker Mayfield. So I was able to get a share of Darnell Washington.
Yeah,
not really a big fan of that, but Pat Freiermuth has had like 4 concussions since he's been in the NFL. There is like I don't think they would even go to him in that scenario. Probably they'd probably bring in, I forget what the guy's name is, but they have another tight end there. But he is an athletic freak.
Yeah, I was just say those athletic freaks. They could, especially if there is injuries. And again, it was one of your last picks.
Yeah, and I have JSN, who I think is better than any cornerback that the Steelers have. And I think either late in the season, the Seattle Seahawks are going to be like thriving and they're going to try to keep it going, or they might be washed because, Geno Smith always like a one and done kind of player. And like they want to see more of the rookie. So they might, I'm really high on JSN. I just don't think JSN fails in like this kind of format.
I need to get more JSN. I've been drafting not much Metcalf just because of his price and who he goes around.
Yeah, I agree.
And I've been drafting a lot of just a lot of Lockett. But I need
they go to a similar spot, I think. Yeah, they go.
Yeah, so I need to get some more JSN because they do go in a similar spot. But no, I like that team. I love the Najee Pickett correlation, and then grabbing a late round tight end with them. You got the Houston stack.
So I grabbed Baker Mayfield because I had Chris Godwin. I had Godwin early, but I also had Kendre Miller and Juwan Johnson, and I was like, well, if that game is the game that pops off, which I don't think that it will be, but if it is.
Hey, we didn't think Tampa, Carolina was the game that would pop off last year, right? So you never know,
You know what's unfortunate for me, but I stacked every single one of my teammates or all my teams with a Bills and Bengals stack. Every single one of my teams had a Bills and Bengals. It was like,
so even if it was like a skinny stack,
it was like the last 2 picks I would get. Like, I always had I had so much Gabe Davis, it was like impossible to not have a stack. But like, I had like at least one piece. I had Hayden Hurst and Gabe Davis on like most of my teams.
Yeah. Oh, that was crazy.
But stuff happens. So
No, Higgins was on my BBM finals team, but I had started well. So the first night of BBM finals, Thursday night, Dallas played Tennessee, and Dalton Schultz got 2 touchdowns, and he was super low. And so I was sitting, and I had a big Dallas stack. So I was sitting with $1 million at the red one. And I was
really?
like, oh my God.
That must be awesome.
I was like, yeah, it was. But I was like, I played DFS long enough to know we still have to get through 15, or however many more games we have to get through here. And so I had all my guys, like I wasn't missing any players. I had the 3 stacks filled out. So I was like, just set up really well. My running backs went off, all my receivers failed, all of them. And so even if Higgins had a great game, it would have helped. Like I would have made more money, or jumped up in the rankings, but I didn't have a shot at, the top.
Yeah, I don't think too many people really had a shot with like both lineups being in there, but the DraftKings, I was in the DraftKings finals. The guy was like, that was in second place, was only behind him like 2 points. He would have taken the million. I feel bad for that guy.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I was down to like near thousands because I had on that team, I had Derek Carr, who didn't play that week.
Oh, right. who
had he played and gotten the same numbers as Jared Stidham did that week.
Right, that's what
I could have run it back because also I had Derrick Henry, who didn't play.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Cowboys. So I just ran really poor that week because I had that. That was my only milli-making winning team, like in the finals, and then I had a Bills Bengals stack on that team. So I'm like, it just wasn't meant to be this year.
Hey, but it's cool to run it back in the finals, though. Because I mean, just being in the finals, that's what.
Oh,
that was my first time, and so I just hope I can recreate that because that was a blast.
Yeah, I was on an airplane while I was during that the first when I won it. I wasn't even watching.
Are you serious?
Yeah, wow. It was my worst team, and we were when we went on. I took my wife on vacation. It was New Year's Eve, so we went down to Austin.
Oh my gosh, that's
and
amazing.
We went, and there's I might do okay. It's who knows? Maybe I'll double my money, but all of a sudden I'm in an 11th place, getting off the airplane, and it was wild.
Oh, I'm sure you and your wife are losing your mind. Then that's.
I was. I don't think my wife believed it. Kind of thing. I've been in enough DraftKings
right.
Where it's you're probably not actually gonna. There's somebody who's smarter than you.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's a lot of sweats that don't.
Yeah.
Go.
Then it just takes one thing and it just goes the other way.
Right. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. All right. So I have here the link to paste in the chat for anybody that wants to join my Patreon. It's $5 a month. You get interviews after the fact that we do these things. We get my DraftKings and Underdog rankings. I didn't do the Underdog this week because I'm still learning how to do the Underdog rankings because you can do it on your phone, but it doesn't translate to upload. So you have to. You have to do it through Excel first, and then if you join the Patreon, not specifically you, by the way, Meg. I'm talking just the chat.
I want to.
You get if you join, you can join the league. I'll donate, not donate, but I'm going to give the winner of each league of every 11 $100. Whoever wins each league. So it's $5 entry. You're supporting me, which is more what I care about, and I give you guys $100 if whoever wins the Yahoo Fantasy League.
Oh, fun! That's awesome.
Alrighty. So me and her gonna head over to have the Know the Nation segment over on Patreon. So if you'd like to come and watch, please subscribe. The link is in the chat. Have fun, guys.